And my best, each and every one who watches this. This last song, I say I don't write songs about people, but as a matter of fact, here's two in a row. This last one is about my father, who died a long time ago, 15 years ago, almost. And the last time, here I go on and on, but the last time I saw him, he was sitting in the airport in Windsor, about to board a plane to head back out west. And I saw him go down and sit in the waiting room, and I went out to go back to the parking lot, and as I got to the door of the airport, I always have a flair for the dramatic, of course, and I said to myself, go back and look, this may be your last look. And by golly, it was my last look at him. And he was sitting in there in his, his sport coat, which he'd outgrown. He had a fair girth at that point, and his old hat, and a shopping bag with his concertina in it, and a bottle of duty-free booze, which we just picked up. And that was him. That was his life, going with him back out there. This song is called The O's and the Teens, and it's really about his generation, the people who were born the first 2 decades of this century, and the kind of experiences that they went through. That's a lot of talking. Okay, here we go. Sitting alone in the departure lounge, old hat, an old sport coat that won't button down, shopping bag ready to carry on board, jam full of peppermints, the old concertina, the neck of your duty-free, like the handle of a sword. You headed west, one journey more, to find a connection, to see what's in store. For those who were born in the O's or the teens, your century's dying and so are your dreams. You fought a depression, endured a great war. There aren't many left now who care to keep score, as one after another you're sailing. You were the first generation to grow up on wheels, and maybe the last one to really know how the open road feels. We still dam up the rivers and cut down the groves. We'll be washed up by summertime, where no one sits down together. It's just grab more of everything, more fishes, more loaves. We're in a single dimension with only one measure. And don't kid yourself that it's laughter or leisure. Sleepwalkers that the dead cannot rouse. Dreams and remembrance are really all that this system allows. You're where it's eternally Saturday night. The hall's full of dancers, summer dresses and perms. Are all wound up and they're ready to fight, so play them a slow one to settle them down, and play them this waltz and just watch them go round. For another you'll say. For those who were born in the O's or the teens, your century's dying and so are your dreams. You fought a depression, endured a great war. There aren't many left now who care to keep score. There's one after another you'll say.
Jim reached past in early October 2010, finally succumbing to various medical complications arising from a long-standing blood disorder. You remember Jim. He's the fellow who did the narration and wrote and played the music for the first 2 segments of this trilogy. But Jim was not only a valued talent whose contribution to these and earlier videos was essential to their look and feel, he was also a great friend whose company I was privileged to enjoy over many years.
I bestow it upon thee. May you treat it with the respect it deserves.
Remember me?
All right, I'll keep all those words close to my heart.
Yes. Don't wear them lightly in your sleeve.
Oh,
Treat them with all due gravity.
I first met Jim when we both arrived in Ottawa in the summer of 1971. He with his family, and I in my lonesome. And we cemented the relationship when we later worked together in Manchester, England, in the early to mid-70s. One birthday I'm unlikely to forget is that of his daughter, Julie. Jim and Kathy's second child. Julie was born in Manchester on July the 31st, 1973, 29 years to the day after my birth. I moved to Manchester from Glasgow at the start of 1973, and I was resident in Manchester at the time of Julie's birth.
We'll take a picture of you too, what the heck? No idea who you are. May never see you again. I never let that stop me.
Yes.
Oh, you've forgotten someone, Dan.
Who's that, you?
Not me, no. The person at your feet there.
Oh, never mind.
What is the doggy?
Yeah.
Oh, I'm not keen on taking pictures of doggies.
You're not.
No.
The dog remembers you vividly.
He does?
Yeah. The two of you wrecked the walls in our other house.
Throw that ball.
Wreck the walls.
You used to
her ball.
throw her ball.
Oh, yeah, did I?
All the time.
Oh, yeah.
Bounce it off the walls. Of course, she cooperated all the time.
Here we are.
Petra would not play it.
Stephanie is Julie's older sister. Nathan is her younger brother. I wasn't on site for those births, so I'm not at all sure of their birth dates. Unfortunately, my Manchester days predate my days with the camera, so I have no footage from the Manchester period.
Who's this?
Plain old Stephanie.
Who doesn't have any makeup on?
Stephanie.
Should she have some on?
A lot of times she has a lot of eye
Oh,
makeup.
no, Stephanie. Stay away from that. That's
I think these are done.
wickedness incarnate is what it is. That'll lead you down the road to ruin.
So, how to proceed? How to put together the final part of this family and friends trilogy without Jim? With some considerable difficulty is my best guess. And there will be no new music for this segment, and though I'm painfully aware it doesn't stand comparison with Jim's earlier contributions, I will be doing the narrative. You remember Jack? Well, you can say goodbye to him, and hello to Dan. Here we go. It's the summer of 1981 at the Plumsteels. We'll begin with Doug Plumsteel, my oldest friend, a friendship that began at Vancouver's Bayview Elementary School some 60 years ago. Although I must have been aware of him from the beginning of our primary school days, my first detailed memory of Doug has to do with a specific classroom incident, one that I know caught both of us off guard. The fact that I never saw it coming, well, that may go a long way towards explaining why it's so firmly lodged in my memory.
Daniel, what you doing? What are you doing?
The teacher, I believe it was Miss McLeod, must have been discussing furry creatures of various kinds, and Doug asked, sincerely and innocently, "Do raccoons live in trees?" Well, the question completely discombobulated the teacher.
There we go.
Doug, Shannon, and Robin.
No hands. No hands.
Turning a vivid shade of red, she reacted with what seemed to me at the time to be little better than agitated incoherence. That's Robin. Up comes Andrea, treating the genuinely curious Doug as though he were guilty of outrageous impertinence. I was perplexed. What was there in the question that warranted such a response? Maybe it was nothing more than an overreaction to her embarrassment at not knowing the answer. I can't even remember hearing an answer. And if I'm right about that, and Doug remains keen on learning about the animal's domicile, I suppose he can always turn to the computer and his favorite search engine to satisfy his curiosity.
Oh, look. Shannon and Andrea together. Look at that.
Now you're going to be able to hold down here, number one, you hold there, and you hold here. Okay?
There. Hold on. Oh!
Shannon, Robin, and Andrea on a swing. Doug lived a couple of blocks down the avenue. We spent much time at each other's homes. My mum was fond of recalling what she believed to be a paradigm example of Doug's organizational talents. She'd repeatedly tell everyone who cared to listen that Doug made sure my shoelaces were tied before we left the house. I can't recall it being an issue, but there must have been some sort of shoelace event that stuck in her memory. At any rate, she had succinctly spotlighted a marked contrast in our natures, and used the claim as a kind of metaphor, a not-so-subtle dig at one of the more prominent of my many failings. And since I saw it exactly the same way, I had no problem with the story. To drive home the point, I remember being fascinated with young Doug's comparisons shopping. I would have gone with him on these commercial forays no more than a couple of times, but it was enough exposure to learn the routine. This is the summer of 1983 at the Plum Steels. After first noting the price of the coveted item, he would then read the fine print detailing the volume and weight of the contents. Moving on from store to store to examine comparable items, he would eventually conclude he had seen enough, decide on a purchase, and part with his money. Small wonder he was entrusted with much of the family's grocery shopping. That's Dorothy, Doug's mom's voice here in the background. As for me, in the unlikely event I had enough money to cover it, I would have bought the first item that came to hand. And in contrast to Doug, I was never under threat of being charged with seeing the family's shopping. Match Doug's organizational skills with a remarkably calm and serious temperament, and you've got just the attributes for maintaining composure under pressure. And Doug, together with his wife Marg, found themselves in a doozy of a high-pressure situation on April the 18th, 1976. The couple, residents of Johannesburg, South Africa at the time, had earlier been visiting with members of Marg's family in Rhodesia. Motoring back to South Africa, they stopped at a lay-by to fix a disabled headlight. About halfway through the 15-minute repair job, two motorcycles went by, heading south, the same direction Doug and Marg were traveling. That's Harold Plumsteel, Doug's father.
Cheers! This is good Canadian beer.
Doug Plumsteel's impressed with this.
Wow, no, I am impressed.
There we are.
About 3 minutes after they got back on the road, they saw flashes overhead. A car then sped by heading north. Rounding a corner, they noticed two taillights, one in the center and the other to the side of the road. Despite the darkness, Doug correctly surmised that they were the two motorcycles that had passed by earlier. Slowing down, he saw that the bikes, together with their riders and passengers, were flat on the ground. Doug stopped about 10 feet from the bikes to investigate. As he approached with the flashlight, a girl screamed that they had been shot by terrorists. Realizing that the flashes he had seen a couple of minutes earlier had been tracers, Doug returned to his vehicle to turn off the lights. Arming himself with a rifle and Mark with a revolver, Doug told Mark to feed him ammunition and to cover him while he fired in various directions. When the fire was not returned, Doug set about shutting down the lights of the bikes and attending to the casualties. 2 appeared to be dead, another was critically injured, and the girl was badly injured but mobile. After untangling her from her saddlebags, he helped her over to his vehicle, placing her on the passenger side. He flagged down the drivers of 2 additional vehicles for assistance, and they agreed to carry 1 each of the 2 deceased bikers. The critically injured casualty was also placed in Doug's car. During the whole of this time, Marg was alert to the possibility of a further attack and was providing cover. Since passenger space was now scarce, a 3rd vehicle was flagged down to see if they could assist. The young couple inside agreed to take Marg as their passenger. After a police vehicle arrived at the scene, Doug and the others proceeded to the nearest police station where the injured girl received medical attention. The critically injured casualty Doug was carrying died en route. A potentially complicating twist involving the first flagged vehicle also deserves mention. When the driver couldn't restart his vehicle, Doug succeeded in jump-starting it by giving it a push with his Land Rover.
This one coming. Look at him come here.
Stop feeding.
Doug and Marg later received meritorious conduct medals from the Rhodesian government, the first time a man and his wife had received Rhodesian bravery awards arising from the same incident. The Plumsteels were clearly in charge throughout, with the other participants deferring to their direction and looking to them for guidance, pretty much the same way I've related to Doug over the years.
I was destined to this stuff.
Fort. These statues are carved right into the wall. Some are still intact. More or less.
Self-contained. It is said to have been built by Akbar for his daughter-in-law, Jobai, the daughter of of Jodhpur, wife of Jangalini, and mother of whoever, and was completed in 1515, a little before the emperor transferred his court from Agra. The palace is the largest building. This is the largest building in Fatehpur.
We're at Doug's place, enjoying ourselves no end in the pool. There's Doug and his friend the giant tortoise. I think we can see little Matthew peeking behind the giant tortoise's head there, holding on for dear life. Holding on for dear life. With the hope that it will remain afloat.
Speaking of bravery, there's another episode I'd like to mention. As it happens, Doug and Marg aren't the only official heroes I've come across. John Sheardown, former colleague with whom I briefly worked, was the man who, together with his wife Zena, first sheltered staff from the American embassy in Tehran. Staff who were looking for refuge when their co-workers were taken hostage on November the 4th, 1979. While two of them were later removed from John's house to the official residence, I believe John was afterwards responsible for hiding 4 escapees until he and his wife left Iran, some 10 days before these American guests made their departure on January the 28th, 1980. John and Zena placed their own lives in imminent danger when they unhesitatingly laid down the welcome mat. Their subsequent efforts to conceal the Americans were critical to the success of the operation. Despite this integral and essential involvement, neither made the cut for the movie Argo, based on the rescue, which won the 2012 Academy Award for Best Picture. Although I have not yet seen the movie, I've read that the Canadian head of mission in Tehran at the time, Ken Taylor, was portrayed as the man who harbored all the Americans right from the outset. Since Ken was given a preview of the film before its release, I can only hope that he vigorously protested the outrageous inaccuracy, even if there is little chance it would lead to a rewrite.
I thought I was sort of fed up getting all this expensive stuff. But you had to wash by hand. The glass, but you had to wash them by hand and hang them up to dry.
Oh yes, you might as well not bother.
John told Kim and I that when his wife's name was not included together with his on the list for the Order of Canada, he told the powers that be that he would not accept the honor unless this egregious omission was first remedied. His wife was then added to the list, and both happily received their justly deserved awards. Sadly, John recently passed away on December the 30th, 2012.
Got himself a tennis court there, which is kind of nice, private tennis court. And there's the house. And down there are the stables.
There we are. Get the apples.
Yeah, there's the proprietor.
Apples for the horses.
Yeah.
Go down and feed them now.
Go down and see the
The main
horses.
barn down here, past the trainer's house. But come on there, Daniel.
All right.
Let's walk on.
Sure. Carry on. I won't be long. Here we are. Got a little smokehouse there for curing pork or whatever you might want to cure. Okay, there he is heading towards the
Come on on and have a look at the work.
it's a good angle. That's the second nose. The people that I guess look after the equestrian teaching.
Yeah,
They're the ones who are the trainers, or the trainer.
Beaver canoe?
Oh yeah, fiberglass.
No, canvas.
Oh, canvas covered, eh? Well, they don't make those anymore. I didn't think they made them anymore.
No, well, this was the last. The company went big.
Yeah.
So it's from Ontario. What I want to do is to take Shem down.
There's a horse back there. This is what do you call this place? Your work?
This is really it's a workshop in the
Workshop?
scouting.
Okay.
Where you keep the stallions away
Stallions away from the mares?
Yeah, away from the geldings.
There's one of the horses right there. One of the stallions.
No, he isn't. He's a gelding.
Oh, he's a gelding. I thought you said this is where you keep the stallions.
Well, no, it's overflow. We got too many horses.
Oh, I see.
There's just too many.
Tractor and a lawnmower that you ride.
Tractor and little diesel, lawnmower.
There's that house from a different angle. Oh, looks like a very comfortable little place. This is the passageway through the main barn. Oh, yeah.
For jumpers.
Yeah, she says you got two of them.
Huh? She got two.
Yeah.
And this is her old guy, which is my guy now. He's a quarter horse. Look at you. Oh, I know. He's scarred his nose. Stop it. Get a cribbing call. This is to lose some.
Remember that time in Bowen Island, we were walking back from the village, and we got on a little pony that was.
Oh, I remember. That's fitting.
And if you're up for a 6 degrees of separation thing, there is a tangential connection with Doug. He told me he once sat beside Kent Taylor on a flight. And since we're talking about the Order of Canada, why not mention that our niece, Laurie Kane, has one? Not just for being the personable and generous lady that she is, but also for her exceptional exploits on the links when she was a top-ranked professional golfer.
This is where they ride.
This is the indoor arena. This is where they can ride indoors in inclement weather.
It's the only drawback. We had some pigeons in here.
This is for transporting horses.
I drive the Jetta when Shannon's not home, and drive the farm truck when she's home because it's a smaller. It's down to the other barn.
Ah, the other barn.
And the outdoor rings over here. Walk over to the culvert over here. Got blown away during the last fall. So I got
A little stream down there.
but it comes right up over the top of that wood in the fall.
This is the outdoor ring.
And then we've got the small barn, which is an 8-stall barn.
Okay, go ahead, what you said?
So that's the small barn, which is the school horse barn.
Yeah.
There's 8 stalls in there, and then the turnouts. So it's nice because it's completely separate. All these are really pretty.
Not long after they were honored by the Rhodesian government, Doug and Marg relocated to Canada, eventually establishing their own promotions company. And if genes have anything to do with it, I expect Doug will be around for some time to come. His dad, Harold, celebrated his 100th birthday on November the 20th, 2012. Last, and most definitely not least, Doug was the best man at my marriage to Nancy Kim on June 24th, 1978. Not that he wasn't the best man before and the best man after, but I think of the wedding as a singular event worthy of special mention.
There's a milk shed.
Compost.
Compost, milk shed, whatever.
Still got the well there.
What's the point of all this? Is just to get from one spot to another? Is that what this is all
We're
about?
going down. This is the way we get back to our house. It's a big circle.
There's the pool out back. Yep.
It's got the new barracuda in it.
Yeah. Oh well. Yeah.
Too much of a move to do it last night. Too late. That's a really place to keep cool.
Yep, there's an area out back there. You could set up a bar there if you wanted to. Yep, he's standing next to the hot tub. Yeah, you get a little practice in. Get a little practice in.
This is over at the Lehan's place in the summer of 1981. Now we come to another couple of buddies dating all the way back to grade 7. Kitsilano Senior Secondary School, KITS for short, offered a grades 7 through 12. KITS was the designated repository for kids from a number of primary schools, one of which was Bayview. General Gordon was another.
Rosa? We never knew any Rosa.
You don't know Rosa?
Oh, her! actually, it's about the same. Yeah, actually, we were in South America, avocados were really cheap. Oh, they were like, one place we found one for 5 cents.
First, I'll talk about Mel Leanne, who, if I'm not mistaken, came to Kits from General Gordon. I will remember meeting Mel on the very first day at Kits. Purely by happenstance, I took a homeroom seat directly behind him.
I have a hunch that it's sort of like where I live right now, which is a little fishing village. It's probably very similar to me. Everybody that fishes is just small island.
Well, there's not a lot of people now in the garden.
Dan, right, Dan? Excuse me for a minute, I'm going to do that, okay?
Something salad, get it?
What?
Something salad?
Oh, okay, I'll stand out here. Instead of making the salad, I'll stand here and swallow it.
This is the summer of '86. We're at Mel and Barb's.
Maybe come babysit or scoop of cheese missing too?
I would, Dan, if you're going to go, what I'd suggest you do is that you get there before 10 o'clock, which is the only you can spend the entire night. What time do you intend to spend there?
We won't have any more. She wants to throw water on everybody. Well, that's what people do, Shane.
Talking about Expo '86 a minute ago.
Before you could bat an eye, an extremely animated Mel turned around to tell me that I was frightened. Not that I seemed to be frightened or looked frightened, but that I was frightened. Since the claim was mostly uttered even before he had first turned to face me, I wondered at the lad's audacity, his impudence. And that's where my memory of our first contact begins and ends.
I think Angela has the nicest smile of anybody I've ever seen.
But if I was true to form, I likely responded by agreeing that he was bang on, and that I would be truly grateful if he would see that I came to no harm, or words to that effect. I do remember that he was smiling when he made the accusation, so how could I possibly have taken it seriously? Mel and I became good friends. So much so that I got to know his parents, and he got to know mine. I remember Mel heading straight for the ham when he joined us at our outsized Boxing Day celebration, one of a number of forbidden foods he could only enjoy away from home. I call these ancient get-togethers outsized because the number of guests always seemed to well exceed the capacity of our little home. But accommodate to them it did, Mel included. Iconoclast then, and iconoclast now, he recently informed me that he was honored to be on the Jewish self-hating and Israel-threatening list, the shit list, if you reduce it to the acronym. He was always ready to consider, and sometimes promote, the heretical side of any issue, consequences be damned. And I guess it would be reasonable to call this special kind of courage gumption.
Beach, I think, is down here. Nice little park. Just a couple of houses away from where Mel lives.
And I think of it as one of his more prominent and most endearing personality traits. Not long before he became a senior citizen, he took on no less than the Premier of BC, running against him as the NDP candidate in his riding. And if I've got it right, he did this twice. Both times, as a widely recognized community activist, he managed a credible showing against what appeared to be insurmountable odds. And talking about community activism, maybe now's the time to mention a few of Mel's many laurels. A teacher by profession, he has been named Good Citizen of the Year by the Kitsilano Chamber of Commerce, Good Neighbor of the Year by Kitsilano Neighborhood House, and he has received an environmental award from the David Suzuki Foundation. He was also the primary impetus behind the establishment of the Kitsilano Farmers Market, a place where local farmers can sell fresh produce, both to promote a healthy diet and to support family farming. A tribute plaque hangs in his honor at St. James Community Square in Vancouver. As a further unofficial indication of the high regard he enjoys within the community, in In 1998, Mel and his family were treated to an all-expense-paid trip to Europe with money raised by his friends, beneficiaries, and co-workers. He had earlier been diagnosed with cancer of the esophagus and stomach, and after surgery, chemo, and radiation therapy, he was left with a survival prognosis that was not optimistic. The trip was a way of saying thanks for the efforts Mel had made on their behalf. It's 2013 now, and despite the grim odds, Mel is still going strong. There's no question Citizen Mel has done himself proud, and despite his advancing years, he seems disinclined to slow down. One of his more recent projects has to do with organizing opposition to a developer's proposal to extend a seawall to cover the last remaining natural foreshore in Vancouver, the beach running from Kitsilano to Jericho. Joining with people of like mind, Mel would prefer to preserve and sustain the neighborhood's natural shoreline and beachfront area.
Oh, don't eat that. What are you eating? What's Matthew eating? Yeah, don't let him chew the stuff here. It's filthy, I'm sure.
Go, Mel, go, as my brother's fond of saying. And one more thing before we move on, returning, if I might, to that opinion about Mel mentioned earlier in the narrative. He may be any one of a number of things, but one thing Mel is not is a self-hating Jew. But you know what they say about opinions. They're just like assholes. Everybody's got one.
That help?
Yeah, but I think they wash it first.
Yeah, it's a good idea. It does help. Yes. Well, do you feel confident about doing it? I'm very nervous. I'll let you do it, but I'm very nervous. That's such a dangerous street. We've left about 10 times. Okay.
Where's she gonna go home?
She's gonna go home.
All right.
He's filming you, Trina. I want to go on some. We saw the red crab.
Red crab.
Yeah. Hi, everybody. They're filming me.
I am indeed.
Oh,
There's Katie Lehan.
What?
Katie Lehan.
Yeah.
That's your name.
Mom.
That's it.
I was in grade 7.
Hasn't changed much. Didn't have a social conscience when he's in grade 7, that's all. No social conscience. It's more just collecting baseball cards. As far as I can recall.
I still do.
You like baseball?
Oh, it's a nice relaxing.
Southwest Marine Drive, I think, and the rest is gone.
What a silly dog.
It's July the 7th, 1994. We're over at Mel Lehan's place. We have the pleasure not only of their company, but also Mr. Rob Bolton's there. And my nephew, my brother's son. His name is Jeff Tupper, for those of you watching the year 3010.
Thanks, Kathy. Wow.
There's Mel Lehan.
Boss came over.
Ah, the perfect host. The perfect host. He's got 20,000 varieties of beer from which to choose.
Here you are, Dan.
Thanks.
They are orchids, are they?
There you are.
Hi, Dan.
Hi. But don't do that. It's going to make for a shaky picture. There's Barb down there. It's the first time I brought this thing out. It's coming to Vancouver.
Dad has a little boy who's 6, Mira. So he's going into grade 1 next year?
Yes, he is. We had to
Isn't it a nice
fight for
age?
that, but that's where he's going. Beg your pardon?
Isn't it a neat age? I mean, they're all neat, but I really
Oh,
like
I think so. I certainly enjoy talking with Matthew and having him around. Yes. Yes.
Mom,
No interesting things to say.
Yes, who else would sit on a wet sprinkler with cold water going up their behind, eh? With a sexual.
No. Why do you have some beer in a garden?
Because beer is good for getting rid of slugs. No, not really. Okay, now I'll use the fat one.
You don't know who Peter Sellers is? Give us a break.
Funny.
This battery's just about dead.
So how's your dad doing?
Drinking lots of beer.
Yeah.
He makes it for me.
Yeah, that's for sure.
Does he make his own?
No, but a lot of friends do.
Yeah, well, it runs in families, so don't drink.
We got to get sermons every time we come over here. We're used to it. We put up with it.
Yeah. Hiya, Kim. How you doing? Too bad you aren't here. Instead, I have to talk to Dan. I could be talking to you and the kids instead.
That's right. Get some intelligent conversation instead of the drivel that comes out of my mouth.
That's a nice camera, though.
It's an old camera. It's an old one, but it works just fine.
You know.
I'm not disagreeing with any of that.
So therefore, you have to.
No. It's disagreeing with your conclusions, Mel.
You
not your
the
analysis.
extra mile to make things a little fairer.
Well, you can. You have to be very, very careful how you do it.
We're now in agreement.
I think the way society does it is not careful whatsoever.
And I think he's right. You
well,
can't
the way
start.
Society doesn't. It doesn't give a shit. It just puts on these phony image. And Rob and I were disagreeing about something else. It's should you do anything or should you do something? But I'm not saying I agree with the way society does it. I agree with you. Society, they just perpetuate it actually, the way we do it now. You're right. Well, but my solution is not to just say, well, that's the past. Let's drop out. Let's forget it. I'm saying I believe in affirmative action. Oh,
and
we're going to get this T-shirt in here. I didn't realize. See this T-shirt? Can you read it? The Dot the Shoreline. You know what that is? We go along here, we walk along from UBC out to Kits, and we count all the birds. We do this 4 times a year, and then they track it and see how the bird life is surviving or thriving or dying over a decade. 4 times a year we do it.
Oh.
It's quite interesting, and we learn a lot about the birds as we go along too.
Sounds good. This is Spanish Banks.
Let me close this segment by saying that Mel and his good wife Barb, just like Doug and Mark, have raised a fine family. They have 3 adult daughters, Shana, Catherine, and Mira. And just like our 3 kids, or Doug and Mark's kids, or any other kids that I've come across, their lives are very much a work in progress, whose summing up will hopefully be unnecessary until sometime in the very distant future.
There's the city of Vancouver.
Oh, no.
Here we are at the Bolton residence, summer of '83.
Come on. You're going to be sorry. I think they must have just about done, eh?
Yeah, I think so too.
Do you want onion, Marie?
No.
No onion?
Oh, I'm missing some
How
stuff.
do you like yours done, Mike? Really? No?
You give it to me blue.
Well, let's have a peek here.
I like it so that they're done, okay?
Well, I think it must be about done.
I don't like them well done till they're fried to crisp, you know?
Oh, call the fire department.
That's a little space
Yeah. Feed the bill.
There's Mrs. Bolton, Rob's mother.
I don't know quite what to do. I've never been on camera before.
Yes, you were. Yes, you were. You were on our camera before.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah. Where you? You didn't do it.
That could be.
Time that you had it, but other times you had the barrel.
Oh, yeah. What, that's the last time this?
No, last year. Dad didn't have it last year.
Now it's Rob's turn. Unlike my introduction to Mel, I have no memory of my first encounter with Rob.
David's gonna go on.
Oh my golly, you'd be a great subject for a portrait, let me tell you. In the old days when they had those flash photographers that took a long time, they had to sit perfectly still.
Should I do my nose?
Why not? Why not? If that's your only trick, do it.
I always like to have something to fall back on that.
He just seemed always to be there from the 7th grade on. And he was, and remains always unpredictable and invariably entertaining. I believe much of what distinguishes Rob could be traced to his highly refined sense of obligation, of loyalty. Raised in a single-parent household, Rob decided from a very early age that he was not going to make any demands on his mum, that he was going to make his own way. Whatever money he needed, he would earn himself. I remember accompanying him on his paper route. It would have been when we were in junior high. At the neighborhood newspaper depot, he would be working harder and faster than the rest of the boys, folding twice as many papers. When I saw him filling an extra bag, I saw what was happening. Unlike any of the others, he was responsible for 2 full routes. And also, unlike the rest, he did not use a bicycle to transport the newspapers. He'd sling the bags over his adolescent shoulders, and away he'd go, on foot. It's not clear to me if his extraordinary strength stemmed from the way he developed his muscles, or whether he was able to do what he did because the strength was there from the outset. It certainly wasn't attributable to his size. His frame is not large, and his height is no greater than average, maybe a little less. As an adult, he'd sometimes labor in the docks to supplement his income. I once asked him what was the most weight he would carry by hand, and he said 200 pounds, an amount well over his body weight. I expect that even in those distant days, 200 pounds would have exceeded the allowable weight limit for hand carrying. And he's resilient, durable too. By way of example, we can look to the time he spent in the bush working as a logger, a chokerman, if I'm not mistaken. When a rock fell on his hard hat, blood streamed from his ears, nose, and mouth, and he was knocked unconscious. The company flew him to Campbell River to be examined by a company doctor. Since his employer was worried about being saddled with an excessive accident number, a statistic that kicked in after the injured employee had been 3 days off the job, Rob was allocated only a couple of days to recover. Although still feeling poorly, he was back at work on the 3rd day.
It's the 24th of June, 1989, and it's our wedding anniversary.
I believe he was given light duty as a whistle punk for that day, and then it was back to the regular grind. No complaints, typical.
So do I.
Here, he's got himself a wiener, little devil.
He likes wieners?
Seems
he
to.
likes wieners?
Seems to.
I think we've given them because we can't get them. Or we can't get them when we're just going to give them. This is the first time we've had them.
Well, Irene is a marvelous kid. He eats anything.
Really?
Yeah, he'll eat anything. The human garbage can.
Together with the rest of the survivors of similar accidents, he did become a member of the understandably exclusive Turtle Club, a club whose membership includes workers who escaped debilitating injury or death because they were wearing hard hats.
Off the ground.
So do you, Andrea. When you drop your ice cream, you pick it up and you eat it, don't you? There we go. He's looking good. He's had a nice
good, Dad.
He's had a nice night's sleep after having been awake for something over 48 hours. Over 2 days.
It's a wonder that you weren't asleep before.
It's a wonder he wasn't hallucinating before.
Oh, I guess jet lag or something has some bearing on it.
That's right, and you were articulate, you were lucid, there was no evidence of any undue fatigue. It was amazing. I was impressed. I've been up since midnight. I was just about dead. Far short of Mr. Bolton's sterling performance, that's for sure. But then again, he had a good night's sleep and I only slept for 4 hours. So now he's got the edge definitely over me. There. There we go.
Wait, Angela.
Doing a bit of filling in here for Mr. Bolton.
Mine are all finished.
Pinocchio! Dumbo! Alice in Wonderland, Robin Hood.
I don't wish to be here.
Humayun's tomb. It's the 26th of December, 1993. And we're here together with Robin Bolton. You can see his back there.
Speaking of feats of strength, I do remember one high school event that relates. The school was divided into 4 houses, each of which would compete against the others at an indoor athletics meet. One of the events was the rope climbing relay. All competitors but one relied on their legs to propel themselves up the rope, using their hands and arms to anchor themselves while they adjusted their feet and legs for the next push up. Rob, however, disdainfully abjured the easier style and pulled himself up, hand over hand, using his arms alone, with his legs extended on either side of the rope. It may not have been the most elegant technique, but it did get him to the top in lickety-split, and it was decidedly more interesting to watch. While I could cite many other examples of extraordinary strength, they all involve circumstances that I expect Rob will prefer remain undisclosed, so I won't.
The other direction
That's it. This guy's something, isn't it? Just started, but never much finished. Like so many things.
Right.
That was the Al-Aminar we were just in. The Katab Minar. There it is in all its glory.
Come here. Well, we have your typical Delhi day here. Visibility, 6 foot perhaps. So I guess this this entire area is festooned with subterranean structures and.
Well, I guess they needed water. They needed water to keep this thing going.
Got it.
Just in case of a siege.
Probably a residence for about 5,000 people.
Oh, I'm sure it was teeming in its day.
I'm sure it's teeming today.
Not too far from Surrey, and he's visiting with us for a change of pace.
I'm in Surrey now. The birthplace of Surrey. We're here.
There we go. Well, sweetie, what do you think? That's pretty good, isn't it? No question we were together.
Cut.
Take it as long as you want, darling. Once you get your hands on the camera, never give it up. Oh. It's a little dark in here today, but it could be worse.
Get a shot of me at the back.
Yeah. This is your kind of place. You don't have to smoke here.
That's true.
Just breathe deeply.
Free smoke. Shock value at home.
all Rob's jobs required a robust constitution. When he was a teenager, he would often work behind the counter of his aunt's donut shop, preparing and selling donuts. My dad would sometimes stop by to pick up a dozen, and during that period would regularly refer to Rob as the Donut King. They were excellent donuts, and I saw little reason to discourage the sobriquet. While a person's strength naturally diminishes with age, character usually remains a constant. And Rob's has always been exemplary. Ever ready and willing to extend a helping hand, people naturally turned to him when there was work to be done. For starts, he had the skills. A university graduate with a major in English, he decided he had no use for a white-collar job. After researching the alternatives, he eventually settled upon becoming a construction electrician. He would often do wiring jobs for family and friends during his off hours. That, together with anything else that needed doing. As an example, he was once asked by a relative to fix a plugged toilet. After taking the thing apart, he found bits and pieces of a toy construction set that the child in the house had shoved into it. A more long-suffering Mr. Fix-It you'd be hard-pressed to find.
What are you doing up there?
I'm putting the footing on.
On the kinder and gentler side, Rob's relationship with his mother, Irene, was in my experience unique. Rob was always there for her, and during her last years, made sure that her every need was both anticipated and met. He would schedule and drive her to all her appointments. He would take her shopping, not to a one-stop shop, but from favorite store to favorite store, depending upon her wishes. He made sure her apartment was set up in a way that would permit the most efficient accessibility to all that she needed. And he would visit her frequently. Irene was his #1 priority, taking precedence over everything and everyone else. And since Rob had to give up construction work after his arthritis became severe, he was always there to assist during the final years. Which brings me to another measure of the man. Although clearly eligible to receive disability benefits, he refused to apply for them, choosing instead to live off his savings. Irene lived until her early 90s and never needed to move from her apartment to an assisted living facility. It's not that her faculties weren't beginning to fade, it's just that Rob monitored her every move. Anything that needed attention, received attention. Some son, some friend.
When we moved, so I don't remember too much about it when I was that age.
You and Robert the same age, aren't you?
Yeah, I guess so. He's, what, 51 too, isn't he?
Yes.
Also?
Yes.
Yeah. So I guess we are. I used to go back to Nelson in the summertime with the family. We used to go back for holidays. We used to stay in a cottage on Kootenai Lake. In fact, I went to visit a buddy of mine in Creston just before coming back here yesterday, and he and I and his wife went together to Nelson, just on a road trip, a day trip. And I went into the museum. I'd been there once previously last year, and I knew it was there. I went in there to take a look at this boat that had been bequeathed to the museum by a fellow named Leonard Gustafson. And it's the very same boat I used to ride around in when I was a kid. So for me, it's quite nice to have a picture of it, because I recall it very, very distinctly. And I remember sitting in it where I sat. I remember using the engine from time to time when they permitted me to do that. So it's quite a nostalgia trip for me. Yeah.
Well, Robin was born in Vancouver.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, he's a Vancouver boy. Born and bred in Vancouver, lived here all his life. With a few jobs outside of town, I guess, from time to time.
Yeah, well, this arthritis.
And also he went to Australia for a little while.
This arthritis has set him back quite a bit.
Oh, bound to. Bound to.
I wish he'd win $1 million on the 649s or something.
Yeah, he doesn't
or
need
maybe get a landslide like I did on his house.
Yeah, well, that's just it. He
and Ken will have most of it anyway. And
oh yeah, but you're going to be around for a long, long time to come.
I hope so. But
yeah.
Who knows?
No, he's all right. Rob's all right. He's just getting by. He's got the income from the basement suite.
Oh, yes.
You know, that's helpful.
That's just been recently rented, though. He never rented it for years. But it's nice to have a clear title on your house.
Yeah.
You bought one in Ottawa, didn't you?
Yeah, we still have it. We rent it out through an agent. But I got to check with him because the people that are now renting it are leaving this summer. They're going back to Calgary.
Oh.
So I've got to check with him to see if he's got other prospects in line for it.
No, we gotta do something else here. Come on, baby, let the good times roll. Yeah. What is it? It's the 24th of September, 2013. And there's Mr. Rick Waters. Busy trying to put a plate on the outlet. By loosening these two screws, we allow the outlet to come a little farther forward, and by doing that, it engages in the holes in the plate, thereby solidifying the entire structure. It's another example of where less is more. A little less tightness is a little more security. Of course, there are those who are not ready to embrace the less is more philosophy. And I have a couple of long-standing friends that I first met at university. I met Rick Waters through the carpool arrangement he had with kids I knew from Kids. He was one of those students who lived on the cusp between two high schools. Many of the neighborhood kids he knew went to Kids. He went to Lord Byng. Once we met, we quickly became fast friends and have remained close to this day. Despite being handicapped since infancy with a severe hearing impairment, his exceptional intelligence and positive attitude allowed him to largely compensate for the disability, to the point where he became an adept communicator, speaking fluently and faultlessly. Gosh, Andrea might be right, but you know what? It doesn't cost us much to try this. That thing isn't expensive. With the help of hearing aids, he learned how to use context to fill the numerous gaps left by dropped consonants. A more quick-witted person you'd be hard-pressed to meet, and he invariably has me doubled over with mirth whenever I spend time in his company. Everything seems to interest him, and if you want advice on anything practical, he's the go-to man. When he had to rely exclusively on hearing aids, he kept pace with the applicable technology, setting up all his electronics to permit wireless access, always tinkering and adjusting to take full advantage of new developments. Since his lip-reading skills took him only so far, anything that promised to improve his hearing would get a careful once-over. And if warranted by that initial review, he would do an in-depth study, carefully weighing the pros and cons before either rejecting or wholeheartedly embracing the offering. And so it was with the cochlear implant option. Rick paid close attention to this developing technology from its earliest beginnings. When he finally decided to take the plunge, he was rejected as a suitable candidate. Why? Because his coping skills were so highly sophisticated, he didn't fit the desired profile. They decided he could get by without it. Fact is, though, that Rick's hearing deficit was every bit as severe as most who qualified. Had they taken their review a step further, they might have learned that if he didn't appear sufficiently disabled, it was only because he tried harder than the others, and, at the risk of appearing politically incorrect, he was likely a whole lot brighter than they were. Although disappointed, Rick continued to remain alert to the possibilities, and when he identified a study designed to see if persons like him might be better able to adapt to and benefit from the implant than others who weren't, he applied and was accepted. He has now had the implant for just a few months, and boy, has he adapted. After he had fully recovered from the operation, the implant was activated. When are you going in to get that worked on? Operation is scheduled for the 12th of November.
Wow.
I can assure you, Dan, my thoughts and prayers will be with you all the way on this one.
I hope so.
After all those dreadful experiences I've read about with cataract surgery?
No, I hope none of that happens to me. There we go.
What do you think of that, eh?
That's pretty
Let
pretty
me
good.
tell you. We need a plastic bag or something.
I guess it's the 26th of
Yeah, that's
September
about
today.
10 years worth of
2013.
hairy teeth. There, the sink drains.
Good.
Okay, shall I put this in the pool? You can't focus that close. Let's go.
We don't have a clamp-like thing, but we do have this right here, Rick. I don't know whether this will help.
No. They need to be like... But I think I might have got it without the plier, just by cleaning up the threads.
Okay.
We'll find out.
Oh yeah, here's an example of Yankee ingenuity. You see, you could have called the plumber and for $100 he'd have come out here. He'd have bent over right there and given you a fantastic view of this great big gaping plumber's butt. Then he would have told you he didn't have the right tool. Then he'd have gone back and charged you another $70 for a second service call. Then he would have sold you a $39 part for $147 and he'd have fixed your sink.
Oh, look at that. Draining just beautifully. Just beautifully. Water down the drain, just like Western Canadian tax dollars right out here in the National Capital Region. And that, my friend, is the end of today's story.
And within a few days of activation, Rick could hear using the implant and the implant alone. But Rick being Rick, he's not about to leave it at that. He doggedly continues to investigate developments in the technology to see if there's room for improvement. Now, I'm surely on side with that, but at the same time, there remains a soft spot in my heart for the days when he had to use his lip-reading skills. It ensured you had the man's undivided attention. In my case, this was no small consideration. The sound of my voice alone has been known to put people to sleep. During his working years, Rick held a variety of positions: teaching, federal government work, working with the hard of hearing, all of which utilized his exceptional communication skills. And as a very mature student, he managed to secure an MBA through part-time study during his off hours. Although now technically a gentleman of leisure, he's as industrious as ever. He and his wife Lynn recently finished a complete makeover of their beautiful home, which sits in a promontory overlooking the western part of Vancouver. And to provide a running update for people who cared about his cochlear implant journey, he set up a blog that managed to be not just informative, but entertaining as well. Considering the nature of the author, how could it be otherwise? All right. It is.
That's it.
27th?
Wait.
I think it is. It's the 27th of September 2013. And Mr. Rick Waters is at rest in front of his computer. A little different from the previous footage. But there you go. He sometimes sits down and takes it easy. Not very often. And even then, he's probably up to some sort of correspondence with his daughter or some such thing.
Well, actually, I'm reading about the different qualities of different types of antifreeze and engine coolant, and what will cause corrosion in your engine and what won't, and which ones have the best heat conductivity. I don't know why I need this kind of stuff, but who knows? You'll have trouble with your car next time I'm out here. I don't know.
He's been suffering from a bit of a cold during the time he's been with us, but I think it's probably entering its final stages. He seems able to function regardless. Doesn't seem to hold him back.
Yeah, rigor mortis is the final stage, Dan.
Quite a guy. An amazing fellow, really.
Rigor mortis.
And I'm proud to call him one of my very best friends. I'm very lucky to have run across him. Even luckier to be able to sustain a relationship over so many years. Yeah.
Built on mutual disrespect.
Yeah, I think so. I think we just drive each other crazy and we just can't get enough of it. That's the thing. Nobody else can drive Rick crazy like I do.
You do
So
a
he has
pretty
to
good
seek
job.
me out when he wants to be driven crazy.
Well, I fuel up on Valium for several weeks before I come out here, Dan.
Yeah. Well, what the heck?
You know what? I'm glad I'm here though, because the weather is good. There's been a bomb threat at a shopping center in British Columbia, and there's a rainfall warning issued for British Columbia. But here in the national capital, an incredible cloud of hot air emanating from Parliament Hill provides a sort of an insulating dome over the whole city. Not only keeps the weather at bay, but insulates the citizens from reality. What do you think of that?
I think what you say is, so he's very popular. Every few seconds you get this beeping sound that comes from his
That's the phone, Tom.
smartphone.
Email, yeah.
And he's a very popular fellow. He's always receiving messages from one source or another.
Smarter than you and I, that phone, Dan.
Yeah. That's not hard. That's setting the bar pretty low. Well, in my case anyhow, certainly not in yours. You're very, very intelligent.
There's an article in the Globe and Mail today that says the smartphone is your enemy. Okay. Well, you know, here's an email saying that I'm part of the Dunbar Community Patrol. Well, they want to know how many hours of patrol. I don't know what to tell them.
Unlimited. Tell them it's up to them.
I'd like to.
You're at their service.
I think I should tell them that provided it's a warm, sunny day, I'll patrol endlessly.
That's for sure.
The minute the rain hits in Vancouver, I don't want to patrol.
Yeah, patrol till you drop. That's your motto. Tell them that.
But all during
You want that written
November,
as your
December,
epitaph
it's always raining.
on your tombstone. Patrol till I drop.
You know, I found another project we need to do in your house. I was looking for a place to plug in my the charger for my laptop here, and there's an outlet in that bedroom I'm using that has no plate on the wall.
Oh yeah.
Have you got any of them stashed away in the garage or?
I don't think so. You're going to have to go back to the hardware store.
They're about a 59-cent item. I'm trying
I
to save
recognize
you
that. No,
59
I know.
cents.
I recognize you will spend more on gas than it's worth. It doesn't matter. Doesn't matter. If something needs doing, you feel you have to do it, we'll do it.
We'll do it. We'll find 59 cents and go buy one.
Exactly.
Let's go over to the couch right now and see how much change is in there.
Yeah. Yeah, we can put a hold on this though. We don't have to do it right away, I don't think.
Okay. Yeah. Well, the main thing you need to
I mean,
know,
as long as you can plug it in. You can plug it in without the
and
plate.
listening. What you need to know is in order to talk with Dan Tupper, you've got to talk at the same time and louder than Dan Tupper is talking.
You know, you talk down to Dan Tupper, you want to talk to Dan Tupper down to him.
And one more thing you need to know is this expression is extremely helpful. Quit talking while I'm interrupting.
Listen, Rick, I do have an unwholesome tendency to ignore other people when they're talking and just sort of interject willfully and maliciously without regard to the other person's sensitivities or feelings. I know I do that, and it's a habit I wish I could break, but unfortunately I'm imbued with it because I've been doing it for so many years. Can't do anything else.
Well, you know, Dan, for years, when I walked through the entrance of a famous high school, there was a cast into the floor, some kind of a mosaic thing, was a thing that said, knowledge is power. So what I've always tried to do is retain the knowledge just to me, so that I have the power. So in order to do that, I have to, and still look like I'm being cooperative, I spew out utter crap to people. And that's what you're on the receiving end of.
Not me. No, not me. You don't do that to me. Other people, not me.
The man you're looking at is Al Ryan. I met him during my final year as an undergraduate. Unhappy with his initial university program choice, he had secured the permission of the department chair to join the 4th year of my undergraduate program.
This is with the Ryans in West Preston in the summer of '81. The Ryans.
I guess he found me to be reasonably tolerable, so we spent much time together, both in and out of class. He was married with an infant child, and was living in on-campus student accommodation, so the easy access to his home certainly aided and abetted the fostering of the relationship. I have a 1981 film of a visit with Al and his family, his wife Joy, and their 3 children, Lisa, Trevor, and Natalie, and videos taken in the mid-90s which include just Al and Joy. After toying briefly with communal living in the Kootenays, Al and Joy had settled in West Creston to raise their family. Let's look at some of the footage to see what we can see.
Lisa Ryan. Together with Kim and Andrea.
Don't forget to tell them this before breakfast. They're planning on fasting.
That's Trevor Ryan.
I would say that for 4 hours. So maybe this is going to be very good food. No, no. I don't think they could figure out the plot. Okay, over here. Increased confidence in the dollar, anyways, to be up on public holiday before breakfast. Doing this sort of thing.
There's Natalie Ryan.
July 1994, and we're in West Creston at the Al and Joy Ryan residence. And I just thought I'd come out here. It's getting dark, but I thought I'd take a picture of the sunset because I find it rather attractive. I got you. You're live now.
Dan can't remember years ago, so he was actually better off.
Yeah, that's right. My memory's not the best, that's for sure. That's why I do this.
Al's been feeling poorly, it shows.
I think Joy went away. She doesn't want a picture taken.
Joy doesn't want a picture taken. Kayla would be happy to pose for you.
There we are. There's the dog. There's Kayla. There we are. There we go. Sound carries here very well too.
Yeah, it does. You want to hear an echo?
Sure.
Hey, Dan!
Hey, I like that one.
Better put one yourself. You don't want to focus on me too much, you're going to wreck the lens.
No, that's all right.
Well, you've had it on tough items.
I have, yeah. You're pretty mild compared to me.
Pretty mild, good.
Yes.
So I'm in good shape for India. You see up here, you can pee in the breeze, no problem.
Yeah.
You can even wear light pants when you do that, because who's going to see? Right?
Nobody will care.
Nobody will
know.
I mean, there's a few freaks with video cameras hanging out in the woods.
I'll try to be around at the time you do it, that's for sure, as best I can. Tell me the story.
Okay, well, the situation that's really interesting with respect to virtual reality, you got this character that William Hurt plays at the beginning.
What's the name of the movie?
The movie's called Journey to the End of the World. It's a Wim Wenders futuristic travel road movie.
Oh, yeah.
And so you got this situation where this guy's running around with this headgear that looks like a virtual reality headgear. And what he's doing, it turns out, is taking pictures of relatives and sites of his mother's past. And his mother is going blind, and his father is a scientist who has left some military project around surveillance and intelligence. and has dedicated his time to try and give his wife visual experiences because she's terminally ill with cancer. Well, to make a long story short, at the very end, they find that this apparatus doesn't work well, but it does have an unexpected result. Namely, it's capable of recording one's dreams.
How about that?
And you can watch your dreams televised afterwards.
Hey.
The result of that is that the subjects whose dreams are taped come to be obsessive about watching their dreams. It's the ultimate ego trip. And they start dreaming about their dreams. Their whole life becomes self-absorbed.
Well, that's like making movies about the movie industry.
And so the world, as it turns out, which they thought was going to end, because the title comes from the fact that an Indian, get this,
a Native American?
An East Indian satellite, which has a fusion core, is plummeting back to Earth. And there is a real chance that an international incident will happen as a result of this at this particular time. The world apparently is in the present state, but even more fragile, with all sorts of emerging nations and ethnicity problems everywhere. So this could be the trigger that ends the world. But in fact, it doesn't happen. The world doesn't end, but in a sense it does, because the new virtual reality trip takes everybody out of the material world, potentially, if this thing continues. Interesting theme.
Al's backyard, Al and Joy's backyard here. There it is.
There he is. Mr. Munch. He's coming up to check out Joy's grave.
That's right.
He's what you call a vegetarian.
Why don't you yell and make him run? Go scare him away.
You want him to go?
Yeah.
Okay. Let's go.
Yes, there we
sir.
go.
Go, 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 go. Yes.
That's quite a little trot he's got. Oh, there, he's going to do a little jump for me, too.
I don't scare him much.
It's all right, he did okay. It's July the 15th, 1994, and we're in Nelson, British Columbia, the town of my birth. I was born here on the 31st of July, 1944. Close to 50 years ago. And let me tell you, it looks a little different from the way I remember it. I left here when I was just a little boy. 3 years old, I believe. That's it. Everything looks a lot bigger. That's for sure. Yeah, I'll be 50 on the 31st of July.
There's Al and Joy in Nelson.
That's right. Al and Joy in Nelson.
Town of Dan's birth.
Yeah,
the
that's
alma
right.
mater.
This is great stuff. This is good. This is like out of the 50s. I like this.
Yeah. Joy's parents lived here too.
Did they? Your parents live here, Joy?
That's where Joy's mother met your mother, here.
Here's a little park.
Nice little garden.
Now this must be the park that my mother used to tell me that she used to come meet your mother.
Could be halfway.
Yeah.
Could be.
Did you hear me, Dan?
Uh-huh.
Alma Beatrice Hodson.
Elma?
Beatrice?
Alma Beatrice Hodson.
Yeah.
And she used to know Enid Agnes Powell, otherwise known as Bonnie Powell,
Yes.
when they were both youngsters.
Yes.
And they used to meet here.
They used to come here and meet at the park with the children. The children used to play in the park.
And there's Leonard Gustafson's boat, one I used to ride on when I was little. Used to be able to even handle the motor from time to time. There it is.
shot there, Dan.
Okay, well this is a story about terrible Tom Hayes, septic pumper and septic tank installer. And this story talks about his acquaintance with a guy named Mo Wasilick, who was a dreadful cheap ass. And Mo wanted to get the most work done for the least possible money, and because it was an hourly rate, he was continually agitated at the slow pace at which the work was proceeding. And Mo was supposed to be holding the surveyor's rod with a red mark on it, and Tom was supposed to be sighting from time to time, so they'd be digging along a trench with an even grade. So Tom tells Mo, he says, "Mo, would you quit waving the stick around?" And Mo has a look at the stick, and it's not moving, eh? He says it's not moving. And then he has a look back at Tom to see what Tom's looking at through the level. And it turns out that Tom, who has brought his dog Killer along, isn't even looking at the stick. Instead, he's looking into Killer's mouth, and Killer's red tongue is wagging around.
How about that?
How about that? So Mo was a little upset there. That was lost time and money, looking down Killer's throat.